Hope everyone, hello, and the sound of my voice is doing well. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule this evening to gather in a safe space with Dr. Hatch and myself, where healing is honored and transformation is real. You guys should already know who I am, but if you don't, my name is Carla Daly, and I'm the founder of I'm My Sister's SISTAS Keeper LLC. I'm My Sister's Keeper empowers women through educational workshops, webinars, coaching, and community centered support, among other things. But once again, this evening, we have Dr. Hatch in the building. Dr. Hatch is returning, and we're super excited to have him. Dr. Hatch is a corporate workforce development executive, a combat veteran, and a psychologist with over 20 years of experience helping leaders and communities heal, grow, and thrive. I feel like I went really quick. I'm sorry if I did.
No, you did fine.
I did. I was okay. All
You
right,
were.
Dr. Hatch, please take it away because I know you have several topics you want to talk about. I don't know how you want to start this, so the floor is yours.
Well, I think I like to start that. I think many of us are feeling some of the stress around unemployment, particularly within our communities,
Mhm.
African American women in particular. Just our community as a whole, we're seeing with the loss of all of the jobs at the government level and service sectors, as well as the senior executive levels. Those DEI programs have left. And so many of us who our lives at some point were tied around who we were, who our job was. You know, it made us. It was part of who our whole thought process of who we are as a person. And so when we see these changes happening now, we wonder, what do we do? How do we navigate in spaces where my I have to learn how to reconfigure and how to readjust my life because changes have been made about how we're going to promote African American and multicultural people, and it's frustrating. And I have a classic example of my sister who was a vice president out in Phoenix, and she came in one day and was told that her services were no longer needed after 10 years. That's hard in this type of community, in this type of client that we're, excuse me, climate that we're in.
I am so sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'm challenging us to start thinking about how do we, as a people, work through these challenges, particularly in the workplace, because they don't. We're looking at 600,000 African American women were without jobs as of March. That was as of March. It was 10% of the population. And what happens when our African American women are out of jobs? Well, then that means their families are at risk. That means that health insurance is at risk. That means that child care is, my safety, my home is at risk. And so there's stressors out there. And I think this is an opportunity for us to look at some of these things and say, how do we navigate through these challenges where I may have lost my job, or I may have lost a loved one, or my situation has changed? How do I cope? Do I continue to do the same thing, or do I find a way to get through it? So I think one of the first things we all have to do is look at community. Look at the people that are in your community that know your worth, that know your worth. Start networking with people within that community, building inner networks where you're working with one another, or people that you know from past jobs that know your work. That's if you're looking for employment. If you're looking for employment, there are opportunities for you to investigate in the AI space. What does that mean? If you're
Mhm.
finding yourself without a job, or you're finding yourself having a difficult time navigating um, the interview space, a lot of times your resume won't even come up in a scan if it doesn't have buzzwords. If there's certain things that are out there that we look for, your resume will get lost in the trash. So one great thing to do is use the AI space to help channel and look at your resume. Put the buzzwords in there so that it shows up into a search looking for you. Um, Take time for yourself. Realize that if you're in a space where you're looking for work, take time for yourself and say, this is just a process that I'm going through. Take time to heal, take time to reflect, take time to re-engage, take time for yourself so that you can get through this. And hopefully, we will get through it. But even for our African American men, our unemployment rate is now up to almost 12%. It's 12%. How do we navigate now in these spaces where we don't have those civil service jobs that we had? We don't have those other jobs that were helping sustain our communities. They're not there anymore. What do you do? How do you navigate that? So we all have to just reach out for one another. If you are in an employment space and you have any authority over jobs or hiring, is to start maybe consider what the market looks like now and really investigate and take your time to find that right person, but utilize that space. If you know something, pass it along to the next person because there's always an answer somewhere in the room. One other thing is depression, because some people, their jobs are define who they are. So if you were a corporate executive or you were a senior vice president or director and your job's gone, well, now that part of your identity sometimes you feel is gone. How do you navigate that space where my
I was
job,
going to say that. I was going to say that to you. That's a huge factor.
yeah, how do I navigate that space? I was the number one and now I'm without. And there's no chance or highly unlikely that I'm going to get another job within that particular area and that pay range as well, because I've been pushed out. So what do? You have to re-engage. You have to find a way to reinvent yourself. You have to look at yourself and really edit. Edit less is less, and delve into what your skills are and how those skills transfer into income. Reach out within the community. If you're a business owner, I know right here in Nova right now, they're offering small business grants to people. You just have to get your application in by the 24th of April into NBC. And they are sponsoring people with $100,000 grants free of charge to you. If you're building your business, so you have a business that you're trying to grow. And then finally, really find time to move. And what do I mean by that? When you're moving and you're engaging your body and you're exercising your body, for one thing, it's taking you out of that space and it's allowing you to be in a space of your mind and getting control of yourself so that you can feel better. You can move a little smoother because you're allowing yourself to breathe and allowing yourself to be. So take time for you. You must take time for you because it's hard. It's hard. I was talking to a client the other day, who I would say probably is in the high six figures, excuse me, is without employment. His lifestyle's about to change in a big way.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what to do, hasn't really planned for it. So why do I raise that up? If you are in a situation where you have saved money or you have put some money aside, plan accordingly. Plan accordingly. Spend less. Redefine your space so that you can make it through it, and we will. We will all get through it, but we have to lean on one another and trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. If you're in a situation where you're in a job that you know it's time to go, but you're afraid to leave because, I don't know, maybe it's the pay or maybe it's the so-called guaranteed check. But sometimes you got to reach out and step out on yourself. Take a chance on yourself. Step back for a minute and go, you know what? I'm going to do me. Get yourself out of a space where people are constantly nagging you. You feel constantly nagging. You feel that they don't trust you. You feel going to work is a chore, where it's borderline borderline insanity for you. Don't do
Mm.
that to yourself. Step out and take a chance on yourself. And I promise you, it will make a difference.
For those that are faced with depression, I know that you spoke about it. Is it safe to say that they should reach out to speak with someone regarding how they feel?
Yeah, yeah, I think one of the main things that will help us through this, I do believe, is therapy. But I think we have to be honest with ourselves and look at, where we are and be honest with yourself. That's the first place you have to start. If you need help, it's the right thing to do to call out for that help.
Hmm.
Somebody to help someone to help you navigate those challenges that you may not understand, but the answer is somewhere in the room. But and so you don't have to feel like you're navigating it alone. Because that depression can make you feel bad about self. It'll make you lethargic. It'll shut yourself down. You won't want to network when you should be doing all of those things. And so that depression thing, seek help. It's okay. It's really okay.
What about those, David, that are faced with now two parents who don't have homes? I'm sorry, who don't have jobs, the mom and the dad. How do we navigate that?
That's what we have to lean into community. Um, with all the cuts with Medicare, Medicaid, and all the other programs and social services, sometimes it can feel like we're just completely at our wits' end. Um, but I would say in that case, you reach out to programs like Catholic Charities. You reach
Mm.
out to localized programs. Sometimes you reach out to some of the religious places to worship that have networks of things that you can find your way through. But you don't have to feel alone. You just have to make the call out, and it's there.
Are there any free therapy networks that folks could reach out to? Because I don't know of any.
I think when you first start, if you feel that you're in a situation, first of all, um,
Hmm.
where you're going to harm yourself, you have to dial 911 and get out of there. Outside of that place, outside of that space, you can call your hospital. You can call the behavioral group. You can call the NAMLA hotline. Um,
Okay.
NAMLA hotline is a hotline where you can get any type of resource of help or network or healthcare or anything. It's a wonderful site, NAMLA.org. Really great organization that will help families who are in those types of crises. Because it can be daunting when you're relying on that income to pay rent, or you're relying on it for your kids' school or whatever, and it can be challenging. But we just have to reach out to local services and more state services because federal services aren't there. They're just not.
And what's the name of that organization again? Can you just spell that?
Yes, I'll get it right here for you.
Because I know that this is your lane. This is your lane. So you would definitely know better than me.
Yes, I'll give it to you right now. I want to give you the exact address. Excuse me.
And we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. So it's going to be um,
Hmm.
I am so sorry. I just said this.
That's okay.
Let me get this right.
Because you had no idea I was going to ask you that. So.
So you're gonna dial NAMLA NAMLA.org.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And so what you'll do is you'll contact them, or you can tell the national your social services provider that's at your hospital, your local hospital. There are certain groups that you can call, certain local social services programs that you can call that can get you networked with a psychologist or someone that can help you guide that process, to get through that process, because that can be daunting, especially without insurance. Then that becomes another challenge, because then you have to find people that would do it on a sliding scale. And that's why if we reach out to the local programs in your community, they can help you network to get that kind of help that you need.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I know that you have several other topics. You wanted to speak about relationship reflection. What is that? I don't know where you're going with that.
I think we have. I think for us, as we navigate through this world and the situations that we are facing right now, we have to stop and reflect back on our behaviors that we've done. Stop and think about, okay, what have I been doing in this mix right here that's got me doing the same thing over and over again? Somewhere in here, I'm causing that. How do I navigate that? You have to be honest with yourself. I think it's time now that we all need to really reflect on where we are in our lives, what we want in our lives, what we don't want anymore in our lives, and be honest about that and reflect and figure, well, where am I in that? And what am I allowing to come in to allow them to continue to be like that? What do I need to do to change, to grow?
So essentially, we have to do the work.
You must do the work. You must do the work in order. If you want anything going forward in installation and how we're currently navigating, you got to work on yourself. You got to be your authentic self. And
But how does one do that, David? Yes, do the work. I understand what that means, but how do I work on myself? If there's someone that's listening right now and there's some things that they need to address, how do you go by addressing them? Where do you start in this process?
okay, so feedback without compassion is cruelty. If you know you have friends or you have situations where you don't have the wherewithal to live the way that you're living, you're telling a lie to yourself. If you are, and we all know that we do, know good and well that we're not in a place where we can afford or have um,
Don't say it. Don't say it
a,
about the bags.
a
Don't say it.
Chanel bag or
Oh,
a
don't
Rolex watch,
don't
but
talk
you
about the
know you
bag.
don't have any cash on hand. Why? Stop. Stop. You know, and you probably heard it before from other people, but sometimes we got to stop and look at us. What am I doing? Listen, I was wanted to go get a brand new car. I just finished my doctorate degree, and I was going to get me a Mercedes. Da, 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 da. I stopped and thought about it for a minute. I'm like, are you serious?
Well, that's all you was talking about for the last few weeks. You was talking about that car.
And I said, are you serious? What are you doing? Your car's paid off. You don't have to deal with that right now. You're retired right now. So you have to stop and check yourself. Be the first one to check yourself and be honest with yourself. What are you doing? Or what are you allowing to allow yourself to be where you are? Because it starts with you.
Because essentially you need a savings account versus a very expensive pocketbook or shoes or whatever it is.
I know we all want to be part of some program where we look good or we flash or whatever that is, but you do that within your means and within your reason. And if most of us are honest, we don't have the time or space for $1,800 shoes.
Mm.
We don't have a time or space for $12,000 Rolex watches when you
Mm.
know you don't have $12,000 in the bank. What are you doing?
Do the work.
What are you doing? Take self inventory of your behaviors and just honestly sit down and write down all the money that you have coming in the beginning of the month. And just honestly, for 1 month, just track where it's going. You will be amazed. You will be amazed. Be honest with yourself because there's always room in there to put a little bit to the side. There's always a little room in there to self-gratify just a little later. It's always some room in there.
And the end result of not doing the work is what? The end result in not doing the
Broken,
work.
broken spirit, not your authentic self, because you chose not to work on yourself. So when someone comes along in your life and they are going to need that experience and it was supposed to come from you, but because you weren't willing to do the work, you denied that process. What? No, we are all here to look at ourselves and take that inventory, do the work, tell the truth. And don't beat yourself up about it, just own it. You know what, I messed up. I was looking at money wrong. You know what, I was looking at the relationship wrong. You know what, my bad, my bad. I'm gonna own this. Now when you own it, you turn it around and make it work. Don't sit on, well, you know, because in the back, turn it around. You create the narrative in your life. And I don't care who hasn't given you a job. And I don't care what man or woman has not validated you or a family member or whatever. You validate you. You start with you. You start there. And when you start valuing, you start looking at yourself and saying, wait a minute, oh, I am somebody. What? Oh, I do that. Oh, I am worthy too. Oh, I'm a part of that kingdom too. What? You can move and operate different. But you gotta start with you. And I think many of us are afraid to do that because we don't want to own what got us there. We don't want to own who we're trying to show off to or for, or what we're trying to prove in our minds to someone or to ourselves. And you just start to own it. So now what do I have to guys to get out of this? Because I will not be here. I will not be in that same relationship that's not validating me. I will not be in that same relationship where every time I'm around, someone has something negative to say. I will not be in that relationship. All I got to do is work for me. Because once you know, you know.
Once you know, you know.
Once you know, you know. And you can pretend like you didn't, but let me tell you something. Don't do the work and see what happens in the spring when what comes up out of your garden is a bunch of weeds and they choked out all your other stuff because you didn't want to hold the garden in the fall. What are you saying to me? Do the work and watch what comes up. That's real.
What is this toolbox theory? What is the toolbox theory about?
The toolbox theory.
I know you said you wanted to speak on it, but once again, I had no idea how deep you would get in these topics because you just like to freestyle. So, what is the toolbox theory?
I'll do maybe two here. I'll put my specific keys for you so you get where I'm coming from with this toolbox theory. Okay. So now look. You have to have some things in your toolbox that's going to help you, edify you, lift you, so that you can make it on. All right? And you start in this toolbox with just some mental health tips, and you say to yourself, I am worthy.
This is the toolbox of life.
This is the toolbox practice tips to glow up for you. If you're
Okay.
coming out of traumatic relationships, if you are in dysfunctional relationships with significant others or family members, these are toolbox for you for your health and for you to find other ways to glow up so that you can show up bigger and brighter.
All right.
One is rest is not a negotiable.
Mm-mm.
You must get rest so that you can function.
And rest is more than 2 hours of sleep.
It's more than 2 hours of sleep. You
Okay.
must get rest in order to be your very best. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing I need you to do is remember that there are holistic things that you can do by just meditating for yourself, setting aside a certain spot of time, whether you call it prayer, meditation, become connected with what you know is your source, or find out if you got a source or if you need a source.
Mm-mm.
But
Good
just
work.
start having your toolbox. You know what? I got to tap into a source. I got to tap into a source. I got to make sure that I get the needed rest. I got to make sure that I get all of those things. I got to make sure that I'm doing things that affirm me. I'm doing things that edify me.
So if someone is watching and you said affirm me, if they don't know what that means, elaborate.
Just, sometimes we look for people to give us affirmation to affirm that I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need that. You don't need that from anyone. You need that from you. You know who you are. You were uniquely created here and have the divine right to be here just as the next person. So that being said, I don't need anyone to edify me. I don't need anybody to do any of those things for me. I need to learn, encourage myself, be grateful to the art for what or whatever my belief system is, and trust that it's working out for my good. And if I'm in that space, that's my toolbox right there. I know that I need to stay connected. I know I need to stay rested. And I know I need to stay affirmed and assurance in knowing that I am who I am and what I have to contribute, not what I'm going to take, and how I'm going to contribute, and what I expect in return.
Mm.
That's what you do in your toolbox. No more
Speak a
waiting.
little speak a little bit more about the expectation, because a lot of times folks don't have an expectation of what they expect.
And that's probably what you've created in your life. If you sit down and look at it, I mean, we all have trauma. We all have things that have happened to us in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
things that have shaken us sometimes to our core. But at the end of the day, you really have to sit down and just think about how your, your contribution, what you have to offer, is so much greater than what people are trying to acknowledge you for. It's like you have
Mm.
to know, but nobody else knows. I know. I know what I'm worth. Sometimes we don't have an expectation of that. We kind of go with the flow. We kind of, well, if I get the job, what I'm looking for. No, I expect. I expect. I expect. You speak it into the universe. Life and death is spoken in the tongue, is what I believe. So, speak it out to the universe. Grab hold to it. Take it. You take that narrative and run. No, I'm not. No, I'm not broke. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm not broke because I'm not broke in spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My grandmother used to say that all the time.
So you find people that are better than you, and you hang around them, and you associate with them. You learn from them, and then you pass that nugget on to the next one and to the next one, so that we all can learn that. Whether it's learning how to manage our finances, or get through school, or be in relationship, not just with others, but in relationship with self, and in relationship with the world around me, where I am contributing and I am receiving my bountiful blessings due because of my contribution. Now you're not in the I need space. Now you're in the giving space. And that's how you walk. Even when you don't feel like it, you get up and you walk as though when you get in that living room, that 2,000, 5,000, whatever amount of money that you need, a situation is already done. And you may walk past and it still looks a mess. Nod at it and keep on going. But you expect that it'll be done. And it moves. So if you don't expect much, that's probably what you'll get is little.
Parting words, Dr. Hatch. Parting words for this evening.
I would say the parting words I have is my heart goes out to all of those individuals who are going through unemployment or just disadvantaged in their homes because of what's happening in our government and our society. My heart goes out to you.
Yeah.
Your heads up. Stay close and network within the community. The answer's in the room. We've done it for hundreds of years. The answer's in the room. Stay connected to your community because it's in that space where if one thrives, we all thrive. But you got to do it, and do your work. Be honest with yourself. My challenge would be to everybody here as my parting thing. I would say, find one thing in your life that you know that you're not honest with about yourself. What you're going to do different.
Okay, repeat that. Repeat that again. Repeat that again.
I want everyone out there to find one thing about themselves that you know in copacetic ain't right. And what you're going to do to fix it. Not relying on anybody else. Be honest about it to yourself. Fix it. Just one thing. Just one thing. You'll be amazed at how your life changes.
Dr. Hatch has spoken. Dr. Hatch has spoken. Dr. Hatch, we appreciate you. Thank you so very much. I know you have a hectic schedule. I thank you so very much for showing up for my viewers.
Absolutely. I wish everybody a wonderful night and just stick to community.
Thank you, Dr. Hatch.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
y'all. Have a